Now this, some GOP members are calling for a gas tax increase. Senators Corker, Inhofe, Hatch, Thune. Senator James Inhofe from Oklahoma joins us now. Say it ain't so, Senator. You're not actually proposing a gas tax increase, are you? You're just kind of looking at it, right?
Stuart, you didn't put that up the way it should be. The statement that was made is nothing is off the table. We have to do something about a transportation reauthorization bill. Now, that happens to be in the committee that I'll be chairing, that I used to chair prior to 8 years ago when the Democrats took over. And you know, I think that you and others should sometimes look at that old document that no one cares about anymore called the Constitution. It says that we here in this building are supposed to be doing two things: defending America and roads and bridges. And that's what the Constitution says. That's what we need to be doing. Now, as far as that's concerned, we have to do the bill first. We don't know how that bill is going to ultimately be funded. But nonetheless, a user fee shouldn't be talked about as a tax. Look at the AIP program. That's the Aviation Improvement Program. That's all on user fees. The Intercoastal Waterway, all on user fees. That is the conservative position to take.
But our viewers are incensed at the idea of the government making gas more expensive by whatever means, whether it's a user fee, whether it's a tax on gasoline. They're incensed. They don't want this party to end. We've got the best stimulus program in years, and there is some dismay that any Republican would even talk about a tax increase or a user fee.
Well, we're talking about ultimately funding a transportation reauthorization bill. We did not talk about specifically that. There are a lot of options that we have, but we need to have the program. And by the way, that particular fee, the user fee, is a very popular one. Not just people calling up to say they don't want a tax increase. Look, I've been ranked as the most conservative member more than anyone else has over the last 20 years. So I just don't think that should be used in that way. We have to have a transportation reauthorization bill. We have a real crisis in Oklahoma, and the Constitution says we ought to be doing that. So let's don't concentrate on a tax increase. We don't need a tax increase. If we had just the money that this president is spending on global warming, $120 billion in 5 years. Did you know that, Stuart?
Yeah.
If we had that in transportation and in our military, that he has disarmed America, that's what we should be doing. And all that's being deferred over to his projects, and they are the environmental extremists.
That's the good number. $120 billion will be spent by the administration on global warming regulations. I think
has been spent.
I think you've got some numbers, though, on what it's going to cost us. Not government spending on it, but what the cost to us is from these regulations. What's that number, Senator?
Oh, the regulations. See, that's another whole thing, and that's what my committee that I will be chairing, we're going to get after these things. By the way, when we talk about regulations, we're talking about mostly EPA regulations, the greenhouse gas regulations they're trying to put into effect. You know how much their own price tag is on that, Stuart? It's $476 billion. That's every year. That would be the largest tax increase in the history of this country, and we ought to be looking at that. That's what. Then if you look at the rest of the regulations on, let's say the ozone regulations or the water regulations, right now, and people who watch your program, a lot of them are the business people. They are people who are concerned about manufacturing and all that. You know who is being punished more than any other group by the overregulation of the EPA are the farmers in my state of Oklahoma and throughout America. They will tell you that water of the United States regulation coming out of the EPA is the most punitive thing that they've ever. It's more significant than anything in the agricultural bill. So the overregulation is just killing us. Yes, the price tag of the overregulation in that one area has always been between $300 and $400 billion a year.
Extraordinary.
Which in my state of Oklahoma, for each family that pays a federal income tax, it's about $3,000 a year.
Senator Inhofe, thanks very much for being with us. I'm glad we achieved fundamental agreement at the end of our discussion. Thank you, sir. James Inhofe, Oklahoma Republican.